All right, let's do it to it. Welcome in everybody. Soul Commodore back at you again, back in my black painting hoodie, which is also a workout hoodie. Coming at you once again with another edition of this painting. We're inching ever closer to actually getting this thing done, um, and we're going to continue with that today. So, without further ado, let me just see if I can adjust this a little. There we go. Let's get started. So yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of small details again today. Primarily what I want to work on is this row of street lights, this street light, and this street light. That's primarily what I want to work on today, plus a few other details. We have to extend this pole up a little higher because this traffic light actually attaches to it, and this is a little bit too shallow of an angle. Um, We could make it work, but it would look a little too janky. So we're gonna just raise this up just a tiny bit, like maybe a quarter of an inch, just to give it a little more length, so that that bar coming across makes a little bit more sense. Um, and then we'll probably add some details in here as well. You know, just touching up on the road and all that. But primarily, we're going to be working on the streetlights. So without further ado, let me grab my paint brushes and my paints. Hope y'all are having a fine Monday so far. It's a pretty slow Monday for me, if I'm being completely honest. Pretty pretty slow day at work, but that's all right. I like having those. So I can always find something to do work-wise. All right. We're gonna need some more blue, of course. So we're gonna grab some of that. Won't need too much, but always good to have a little bit on the palette in case we need it. We can always add more later. More yellow. And there we go. Word to the wise, never do that. Never open these things with your mouth, because if they were to burst open, like technically this paint is non-toxic, but there are plenty of paints that are toxic. So just, you know, protect your health, protect your teeth. Don't open tubes of paint with your mouth. Just general word to the wise. All right, so there's our palette all set up. I'll show it up here too, with the new paint on it. And now we just need a brush, and we're gonna get the smallest brush that we have. Because we're gonna start out with some small details first. And please, once again, let me know if the sound is sounding okay, if the volumes are all right, the balance is all right. You can hear my voice clearly and the music all right. You know, it's a good mix. All right. So like I said, I want to start with just extending this pole up a little, so we need some white, bunch of black, and some yellow and red. Try and match the color of that pole that we have already. Like I said before on this stream, that 90% of the time when you're painting, most of it's just you trying to color match your own work. That's really what it comes down to. That works. So we're just extending it up just a little bit, just to make the line that's going to be coming across to it look a little bit more believable. So we're going to grab some black and darken that up, because this line is also going to be fairly hard to see. And actually, I'm gonna zoom in if I can. There we go. Try to stop that from shaking. There we go. We're gonna try and match the shape of this this pole here. Basically, is what we're doing. Add a little bit of white to it to kind of give parts of it a little bit of a highlight. There we go. Oops. I meant to zoom in on the reference image that I took and okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look something up real quick on the internet just to make sure that I've got the shape of this correct. Because this is a real street corner in the hometown that I grew up in, and I'm just looking up a picture of this same intersection during the day just to make sure that I've got it the way that I want it, basically. So we have to go to the corner of McNaughton and Sandy's. Click or right click on what's here. There we go. And flip this camera around. Make sure we've got this correct. Okay, that's interesting. Where is that pole in my reference image? Oh, I see it. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, what is actually kind of hidden in the reference image that we're going to do here? Yo, El, welcome in. How are you? Happy Monday to you. Because there's a traffic light right here, right? There's a traffic light right there, which we are actually going to color a little bit while we're here, because we might as well. We have the brush for it, so. Always glad to see you, my friend. So we're just gonna fill in just the general shape of the outside of the. I'm gonna need some more black actually. Here we go. We're basically just doing the border of the light. But you might be wondering, like, where does this connect to? It turns out that there's a hole right here. That's what it connects to. So that's what we're going to paint in right now. And actually, let me just make sure I got the proportions right. Okay. Might have to see about making this these poles a little bit taller and fixing them a little more, but for now, we're just going to fill this in. And we're going to bring this across, just like so, right in front of this light. Now this is going to be very black because, or at least very dark, because it is going across very bright light, so all you would really see of it is silhouette. And I am going to add a little bit of white to that, just to kind of fuzz some of the edges a little. There we go. So now our lights are anchored. We're just going to keep it like that for now until we find a reason, maybe later, to change their positioning or the way that they're set up, which, I mean, that happens sometimes. Sometimes you look at it and you're like, actually, I want to redo this, you know? It's not a super uncommon thing. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to, once I clean off my brush, we're going to start working on these, um, streetlights. That'll be objective number 2 of the day. Oh my goodness. Stop shaking. Geez, you just move around a little bit and then camera starts shaking. Just hang that there. Let me put the palette down because I need to clean off a couple more brushes. Earthquake indeed. I'm going to tell this story because it's decades old now, and it's kind of funny. When I was in university, because I went to university in London, Ontario, in the house we were living in, it was a split level, and it was split in the back. So like you'd walk in. It's the Chatham Massive, yo, Squid. Oh, very nice, very nice. Turn two more of your illustrations into or two more of your animations into emotes. Very nice. Stamp and ghost set. I like those. I like those a lot. Very, very nice. Um, when I was in London, going to school, university, I lived in a house that was a split level, like I said, and it was a back split. So basically, you walk in, and your kitchen and your living room and dining room were all on one level, and then going up the stairs would be the girls' rooms, and then going down the stairs were mine and my friend's room. Who I still talk to. Um, I still talk to the girls too. You know, they're still close friends of mine. Um, and then one of my closest guy friends lived across from me in the downstairs. And then you went downstairs again, and it was like the basement, right? So coming down the stairs to that split, um, I missed the step once at the very bottom of the stairs and went careening into the wall and left like a massive like dent in the wall in the drywall. And God bless the landlord, he left all the materials to repair the wall, but none of the tools. So he had the drywall compound. He had all that kind of stuff. He had the paint. He had all of that, but he didn't leave any paintbrushes. He didn't leave any putty knives or anything like that. Um, and I was, a university student on a budget, so I went and got a spatula, like a flipper, um, and I got a flipper, and I used the abrasive side of like a two-sided sponge to actually sand the wall down. And I used the flipper to put the spatula to actually put the drywall putty on the wall, and then use the abrasive side to sand it again, and then use because I didn't want to ruin any of my brushes for school, I used the yellow side of that two-sided sponge to actually paint the wall. And landlord never noticed. But I always said that if he ever did, and this is where the point of the story is, if he ever did notice, I was going to blame it on the little mini earthquake that happened in London, Ontario, uh, the summer of, I guess that would have been the summer of 2010. Yeah, summer of 2010. Yeah, yeah. I think it worked out pretty well. Um, I have nothing if not ingenuity. And yeah, he never had a clue. Okay, so now let's start with this one here, because I like the aura that's around it. I like the aura that's around that already. So I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that at all. So all I'm going to do is add the bright white in the middle. There we go. I just realized I can zoom out a little more now. There's going to be another earthquake. I apologize. At least that one was lower on the Richter scale. But now we're going to kind of blend this out just a little bit. And then we'll put some more bright paint in there. Kind of just layering it, you know? I recocked the bathtub at our last place right before we left. Wonder how that went. Oh, nice, nice. I had to do that at our last place too. Not because of any damage or anything, just you know. The one place where there was some caulking already was looking kind of grimy, so I washed it as best as I could and then put some more down, some new caulk down. There we go. And we're gonna kind of extend it up and down the side of this light just a little, just to show the reflection. But I hope you two are doing well. It's always good to see you guys. Okay. So now, while we're here, I'm gonna move the camera over this way a bit. And we're actually gonna work on this string of lights here, based on what we did in the reflection down here, you know? Squid, I'm sure it ended up splendidly. And that there weren't any issues or anything. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And actually, what I might do is I might just paint all this in black and then kind of re-engineer it. You're all right, just grumpy because no drawing. I get to draw tomorrow, but I have to do client work and not my D&D character sitting on a pile of stolen gold with a crown on their head. I mean, that... I get that, having to do the client work when you have a project that you're really excited for, but you can't work on that quite yet. I get that feeling. Because that sounds dope. Honestly, Your rent was so high you weren't bothered about how it went. That's a mood. That's fair. That is fair. I hear that. Honestly, you probably did a better job than the house flipper who redid the place before we this place before we moved in. Ooh, yeah, that was a whole thing for a while, wasn't it? I mean, it probably still is, but people going in thinking it's super easy to like flip a house for profit, not realizing the amount of work that actually goes into fixing up a house. All right, so we just gotta wait for this to dry a little bit. Shouldn't take too long because, as you know, this is acrylic, so it should dry fairly quickly. Our landlord was hoping to flip it too, which is one of the reasons why you left. Ah, fair, fair. I don't know, Squid, if you saw this, um, but apparently there's been a lot of buzz over. So I guess I don't know. I guess there was a pledge made by um oh what is her name? Anyway, there was a pledge made for Victoria to like introduce like um affordable housing for like low income and mid income families and people. Uh, my wife actually found a, an Instagram video about it, where it's like one, it's like bachelor pads and then one, two, and three bedroom places. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, and it turns out that the prices that they're putting forward for these affordable for this affordable housing are higher than the average prices for that area to begin with that aren't marketed for like affordable housing, which is just like of course, of course. Like over there, I think it was like a two bedroom would be like I think it was like 3,300 a month, and then my wife found a listing for a two bedroom or a three bedroom apartment, um, or a three bedroom condo or something in downtown Toronto that is $3,500, which is like that's three bedrooms and it's just over the price of a two bedroom affordable two bedroom unit. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, so based on the placing of these here, we just have to lay down some street lights and where we think they'd be. And that black isn't completely dry yet, but that's okay. We don't really need it to be. because right now we're just kind of placing, and then we're gonna like blend them out anyway to make the like I said, the aura. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So it's going to be about. It's going to take a generation or two to fix the housing mess Mulroney and Chrétien made. Yeah. I mean, hey, that's what happened. No need to apologize. That's who did it. That's the thing about political messes, you know. Like it's one of those things where like it's always like decades in the making. It's not like an overnight. Well, largely it's not an overnight thing. Sometimes there are exceptions to that, but I'm gonna have one right about here. And like I said, these aren't going to be perfect. We're just kind of placing where these auras are going to be. And they also don't have to be perfectly spaced. This is more of an approximation. And they also don't have to be in perfect line. Which you'll see here, because by here they kind of start dipping down a little more. And then there's some more in the distance, way down there. There we go. Yo, Ellipse, welcome in. How are you? It feels like an overnight thing sometimes. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. That's the problem with democracy. The people who planted the seeds of chaos are long gone. Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess. Huh. If you squint your good eye, it looks like a horned owl. The green lights in the V look owlish. Ooh, you know what? You're not wrong. It does. That's a good observation. How you doing, Ellis? It's good to see you. So we want about the same size of an aura here as what's on the right side. So that's what we're going to try and do. I'm okay mentally fortifying myself for another meeting at 7 p.m. Stupid being on the condo board. Ah. Yeah, that's a shame that you got a meeting that late, but hopefully it goes relatively well and relatively quickly. Hope you all had a good weekend. Oh, I should mention this is kind of fun. This is my first stream as a 34-year-old. Thank you, Squid. I appreciate that. Strata Council fun. Yeah. But yeah, this is my first stream as a 34-year-old. I turned 34 on Saturday. So we had a couple of friends over, my brother-in-law and his girlfriend. and then some other friends came over, had just cake and some good times, pretty low key, just the way I wanted it. But you got to give props to my wife for that, because she kind of put the call out for people to come over. So whippersnapper. Thank you, Ella. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a good day. I was worried it wasn't going to happen though, because like the day before, on the 22nd, we got hit with this like crazy snowstorm. But thankfully, like they plowed all the roads overnight, and then like the next day, like everything was fine by the time the sun came up. So, but I was worried that like people would. Cause I put a warning out to all my friends, like, hey, if it's I should say all of our friends, because they're most of them were my wife's friends first, and then I met them through her. But like letting them know, like, hey, if the roads are still bad, like stay home. I don't want anybody going to the hospital over my birthday. So please keep yourself safe. But thankfully, they put the plows out and the roads were the next day. This one here. And then in the evening, I once my wife went to bed, because she's not a fan of this genre of movie, I once she went to bed, got myself another slice of cake, and as is tradition, watched myself The Shining, because The Shining is my favorite movie, and ever since I was like 14 and 15, I've made it a point to watch that movie on my birthday with a slice of cake. It was a great time. And the next day, went over to my wife's family's place for lunch, and had another small little birthday celebration, which I wasn't expecting. Um, and then just read through all the nice messages from friends and family, and it was a good weekend. I also broke a treadmill at the gym. so so I gotta tell this story. So I'm running on the treadmill, and the way that I run, I'm quite envious of my wife, actually, because she's one of those runners where once she starts running, she get wrecked treadmill. Once she starts running, like she keeps a steady pace throughout the entire thing, right? Which I'm envious of, because I don't do that. What I tend to do is like I tend to like alter the pacing through the race, or through the run, and then toward the end, like I start sprinting, or toward the end, right? So I was on the treadmill doing a 5K run, which felt good, because like it's been a while since I've been able to do that, because like I've had to get a new inhaler and all that kind of stuff, and my lungs were wrecked from whatever lung thing was going on with me earlier in the year. So I hadn't run for that distance for a while, and it was going great. And my best treadmill time for the 5K is something like in the range of 24 minutes. So I wasn't anywhere near that, but I was like a 25 minute, or 25. I was at 29 minutes and 30 seconds coming around the last bend. Because on the treadmill they've got like a track that lights up with lights, and then shows you where you are and how far you've run. So I was on the last quarter of the 5K. And I don't know what happened, but I planted. And when I planted, the treadmill slowed right down, came to a stop, and then the display said check speed system, and I couldn't get it to come back. So I broke a treadmill at the gym. So yeah, that was a shame because that run felt good. That was the closest I felt to like how my run used to feel. I was getting all excited. I'm too powerful. Yeah, it still felt good to be able to run like that again. You know, because I shouldn't take it for granted too because I know a lot of people aren't able to. You know, so I don't take it for granted. But that was no good. I think I need the small brush now. Switching brushes, shocking choice. You're right. It is. That's not my usual MO. There we go. So that looks about equal to what it was on the other side in terms of the size, the relative size of these auras. Yeah. So now we just got to fill them in with some bright light. So we'll start that now. We can always go back in and brighten these up just a little bit more too when the time comes. And basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the paint right on the tip of the brush. And then just kind of dabbing it in place. It's not where I wanted that. Saved it. Yeah, if the paint's still wet, you can usually use like a rag or even your finger to kind of like get rid of whatever part of the paint you didn't want there. Now we just continue down, getting smaller and smaller, trying to stay central to these auras as we can. There we go. Not bad, not bad. And there's going to be something fun right here, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But there is going to be something fun there. But in the meantime, let's see, what we're going to do. Actually, no, we can do that now. Yeah, we can do that part now. But first, because I've got the small brush out, I'm gonna add some black to this white. Gray it up a little. And down at this horizon line, we're just gonna add a few highlights there. Okay, now we're going to take our yellow, a little bit of blue, not too much, just a little, some white. We need a little bit more blue than that. And some black. Mix that together. And with this small little brush, right under this streetlight here, because I think it ends up being like the third or fourth, yeah. Actually right here. We're gonna lay in a little bit of foliage, because there's a tree right here by the side of the road. Much like the tree over here, actually. So I'm actually going to put some of this color on this tree to kind of match the tones a little. There we go. And as we get further down, we're going to add a little bit more black to kind of darken it and gray it out a little more. Just like so. And as we move further down, like I said, add more black so it gets darker. Right down here. There we go. And I am going to actually take some dark black and just kind of go in there, create some more areas of shadow. And if you're having trouble seeing that, because I know it's a pretty small detail, I will, as per usual, I will bring the camera up close to the canvas after to show you what we did there, so you all have a chance to see it. Okay, and now actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there is one thing I want to do before we move on to the last streetlight. Is very, very lightly at the top of this pole. I want to suggest the fact that it is a power pole. By adding that crossbar there. It's a utility pole. Hence the utility box, the transformer that's there. But that detail is going to be coming in handy in just a second, because I know I've been saying the stuff that I want to do here, but there is one more bit of housekeeping that I want to do before we move on to that last street light, and that is I want to add very dark, very, very black trees back here. And to kind of enhance that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lighten up some of the, well, maybe we won't have to. Oop. I'm going to throw some clouds in here eventually, but this black, just straight up black, might be dark enough to do what I want to do here and have it look decent. Because there are some trees in the distance in the background. That are silhouetted against the sky. And you are 100% right. It would have been easier to paint these trees in ahead of time instead of trying to paint them around this utility pole. But I didn't think about it at the time. And if they don't show up like I want, then I've got a workaround that we'll do instead. Which is we won't paint this black, we'll paint some lighter areas in the sky and then sort of like force the viewer to see some outlines of trees. Is what we'll do. Which may be what we end up having to do. Because it looks like this is basically drying the same color as the painting. But that's okay. In the meantime, we will just do this street light. Yeah. Okay. So we'll clean that brush off, get all of the black paint off of it. Right. Let's see, it's 7 o'clock? Not bad. Soften that edge a bit as much as we can. Oh, I just realized that's not even on camera. Jeez. My bad, everyone. That's what we're working on up there. But we just slowly make our way around, blending as much as we can. With this very little amount of paint that we have on our brush. How could you do this to us? I'm a bad, bad man. That's how. Okay. What I might need actually is a slightly larger brush. Oh, it's late. I got to get dinner going. Enjoy your painting time. Thank you, Elle. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy your dinner. Hope you have something tasty. something filling. Just stand up here. This will make this a little easier. Now, I know this might seem a little counterintuitive to what we were just doing, but introducing some darker paint is actually going to make it easier to blend out the light in the middle that's still wet. And we actually get a much nicer, much smoother haze. As you'll see in a second, if I'm blocking this, I apologize, but you'll see in just a second what I mean. So you see there, it's a much smoother haze that we just did there. And I am gonna put some black around the outside. And this whole sky is going to get treated. And by that, I mean I'm going to put in some lighter areas to represent like clouds, like some like rainy night clouds, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just going to be straight black, which is the way it looks right now. But it's going to dry very, very much differently than what we have going on right now. I'm just kind of feathering the edges right now. Just like so. And now we've got a perfect haze to actually put our light in the middle of. Yeah. That turned out beautifully. And I know it seems kind of weird because you're getting a lot of the reflection of the actual room light on the black canvas. But this entire background is going to be very, very dark. A lot darker than it looks like on camera. But you'll just have to trust me on that for when the painting's closer to being done. So we're just going to let that sit for a second, make sure it dries, and then we'll move on. First, I'm just going to check something on my computer. Did I recently finish something for an exhibition? I did actually. I finished a drawing slash painting. Let me see if I can grab that while we're waiting for this this bit to dry. Let me see if I can. Where did I put it? Come on, TJ. This room's not that big. There's not that many places to put it. Did I find it? Yeah, I did. Oops, I knocked the camera. My bad, everybody. Another earthquake going on. Let me stop that. But you're not misremembering, Squid. We had just finished this drawing slash painting. We had just done that. Hips quick. Yeah, we had just finished this drawing not too long ago, actually, just before we started working on this. So yeah, this is for the exhibition that you're thinking of. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll just lay that here for now so that I don't accidentally bump the camera again, putting it away. All right, let me pull up the background image again. And then, now what is it? Oh, hold on. My computer wants me to restart. Wants me to update. It's like, no, you don't need to. You really don't. Okay, there we go. Now we can get back to it. Okay. So we're gonna use that brush again. The very small brush. Make sure we get this exactly the shape that we want it. Then I'll move the camera down and I'll show you the little surprise that we're also going to be doing down here again. You can get some pure white. Just load up our brush with white paint. Might stand up again for this. This doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to get it as close to perfect as possible. There we go. Now, we do have to wait for that paint to dry just a little bit, because the paint itself, like the white paint, is kind of translucent, so it's not as pure white as I want it. But we do have to wait for the paint to dry a little bit more before we put more on. Otherwise, we're going to just start like sloughing off paint and sloughing off the paint layers, which is not what we want. So, but now we're going to move more toward the middle of the painting. I'm going to zoom in again. Because even though our horizon line is down there, doesn't mean that there's nothing down there. There's still a bunch of stuff down there, which is what we're going to be doing now. So way in the distance, you're still going to be able to see more street lights and whatnot, and maybe some little miscellaneous lights off to the side. Set up little reflections around those down there. And we're going to see a little bit of what's going to look more pink. Because there is, in fact, oh, did my laptop unplug it? Did. There. Because there is, in fact, a traffic light down here. And it's a red light, so we are going to see a little bit of that reflection as well as we come down here. And I'm going to be what could probably be lights down here too. Because remember, this is a wet street, right? So there's all sorts of stuff that's going to be able to be reflected from quite a distance away. And as a matter of fact, it looks like there's even some green down there. I'm going to fill in a little bit back here because clean off our brush. Like I said, this is hard to see. This is kind of hard to see on the camera, but I promise I will zoom in more once the streams. Once we're getting toward the end of stream, so you can get a better idea of what I'm doing. Like I said, there is actually another green light further, much further down the road, but you'd still be able to see that in the reflection. So we're going to add that as well. So we're going to grab some blue, a little bit of yellow, yellow, and some white. We need a little bit more blue because that's a little bit too yellow green for my liking. We want a nice deep green. Not super deep, not like forest green, but okay, and we can decide where that's going. Somewhere right there, I think. Good. Cool. All right, what next? I actually want to clean this up a little. So I'm going to move the camera down here a bit. Because this is a little bit more yellow than I had painted originally. Like the reflection is going to be more yellow than the light itself. So I want to, no pun intended, reflect that. In the street. More than I did. Boy, that sentence just came out in a lot of segments. Okay. So we're just yellowing this up, and then we'll be going back over it with some white. To kind of blend it in. I think we make it more white toward the middle. And we'll do a couple of passes of it. There, that looks better. And now what I'm going to do, to kind of condense it a little more and give it a little more touch more realism, I'm going to take some black and kind of like go around those edges a little to kind of define them a little better. I almost dropped my palette all over my lap. That was almost a disaster. Thankfully, I'm just wearing track pants, so track pants can get a little messy. It's fine. They're just pants I wear to go to the gym, basically. Important when you're going to be at the canvas for a while that you wear stuff that's comfortable. Like if you're anything like me, you're not so much worried about like getting things messy, because I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, they're just clothes, right? Plus, it's acrylic paint. You can get it out with rubbing alcohol if you really need to. But I'm not so much worried about that. It's more just about comfort. There we go. We're just giving a little more definition to the reflection here. And we're going to, I'm just going to fix the angle on this particular. God, I love that piano riff. Oh, it's so good. There we go. So that looks a touch more realistic than what we had before, and it's a lot more yellow, which is what I wanted. Differentiates from the other colors that are around. So yeah. Thank you, Squid. I appreciate it. So what we're gonna do is, I think the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move back over here, and we're actually gonna put in the lamp posts, much like we did on this side. Although it's funny, with this side, you can actually see less of them. But I suppose that also makes sense. So. We're going to take our colors here. Mix them up. Add a fair amount of black to it. Yellow. And a little bit of white. Kind of gray it out a little. but not too much. We don't want to brighten it too much. There we go. All right, and basically just going to lay in our lampposts. Just like we did on the other side. And I want those to be a lot grayer than they are, actually. A little too brown for my liking. This one we're going to add a little more white to. Okay, so there's one. There's one more this way. Yep, there we go. All right. These next couple are going to be much more faded and aren't going to extend as high because that's just the way that the light worked. gonna move that one over a little bit. More toward here. Then we have one right about here. Right in front of this tree. There we go. Yeah, it's not too bad. It is not too bad at all. Cool. All right. Not bad at all. Okay, so here, let me show you all what it is that we worked on today. First off, I'm gonna zoom out all the way. I'm gonna excuse my hand. All right, so first things first, there's the bulk of the painting right there. So we started out today doing a lot of stuff in this area here. We extended this pole up, added a pole across to connect to that traffic light, then added the pole here to attach to that traffic light. Right? Then we stored up this street light here. We did this one up here. So you can see out of context, we still need to attach it to the pole that's running here, but that'll come in time. We redid this reflection here on this yellow reflection on the road, and then we did that row of lights there. That's the tree I was talking about that we put in. As you can see from a distance, add some dimension. And then way in the background there, you can see we added some further in the distance traffic lights, some more light reflections and all that, just to add some more stuff going on the horizon line instead of just like a black void. So yeah, that's what we did today. So let me put you back up here while I close out. Let me actually level you out there. There we go. All right, so thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm really enjoying how this is coming together. It's really looking good to me. I'm very, very happy with how it's looking so far. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but looking at it now, it's like okay, I'm enjoying how it's coming. So yeah, thank you everybody for oh Supoi. For a minute there, Squid, I was like, what are you trying to say? Let me sound that out. And then I got it. Supoi. Thank you. You almost got to say that like Curly from the Three Stooges. Supoi. But thank you everybody for joining in. Um, Next stream is going to be tomorrow, God willing. Because I know last week it didn't work out, but we'll be streaming Paper Mario: 1,000 Year Door tomorrow at like 4:15 p.m. And the next time we're working on this will be on Thursday at 6 p.m. Um, and then Sunday we'll play some Celeste. But before we get to all that, let me see who we're going to raid. Doing what? Um, Actually, because I got stuff to do, I'm not going to worry about a raid. I don't usually, but like I said, if I got stuff to do and I don't really want to raid and run a stranger, so we're just gonna call it here, and we'll raid somebody next time. But for now, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and thank you for hanging out with me. And hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow for Paper Mario: 1,000 Year Door. All right, take it easy, everyone. Have a good night, Squid.